So this afternoon I'm joined by Leigh, who is the General Manager of, tell me again?
Food Discovery.
Food Discovery. And Food Discovery is a company that that covers a lot of different aspects of what exactly?
Yeah, like Food Discovery is a Thai-owned business. I work for a Thai-owned operator here in Hua Hin, and that covers not only operating Feast Thailand food and sightseeing tours, but it also allows me to do other things like local marketing, also tourism information, and being able to project Hua Hin in a positive way to tourists coming.
Okay, so it is working in the tourism industry, but in a particular niche, which, now, is that your background?
No, not at all.
Okay, all right.
My background, I come from Melbourne, Australia. Well, that's where I spent all my working life,
Right.
out of Melbourne. But no, my background is in multi-site retail stores for over 20 odd years in Australia, and we looked after the business that I worked in, looked after retail stores in Australia, New Zealand and Singapore. So
Was that in any kind of marketing? Not really.
no, it was all, for me, I'm a operational person.
Okay.
So I'm all about the commercial side of it. I'm all about how to make money through delivering on what the stores deliver and getting people to do what I want them to do to deliver that result. So
that
that's
part
my,
you can do.
yeah. And also, look, marketing has always been a chunk of driving business, especially over
Sure.
how social media has changed over the last 20 years. If you're not in the marketing space and being able to lever what you need to do to drive your business,
You can't.
you can't.
run
Yeah,
your
that's
business.
right. So whilst my background hasn't been in marketing, it had to be, if you know what I mean.
Yes, of course. Yes, it's part of. It's like when people sort of say to you, a manager of this, a manager of that. A manager is a manager is a manager.
Yeah, that's
effectively.
right.
So then, now you're working as an expat, a female expat in Asia, in Thailand. So how long have you been an expat?
Oh, I moved over to Hua Hin in 2016, so that's just over 9 years ago now.
Wow. Okay. And that's obviously a sea change for you. What preempted that move?
Well, I was getting around that age where I thought if I stayed with this company, which I really loved being with, I was going to be, my headstone was going to be in the company head office. So I decided to shift my focus and go, look, I'm just going to break away from this and maybe do something that I really wanted to do. But the challenge with doing that, I had to work out my year's notice and I had to look for something that I really wanted to do. And, you get to that sort of age and, not every employer wants to, employ someone of my age. And, and to be honest, Wendy, I really probably didn't want to work with some of those people either. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
But, I didn't have the courage to go and do something on my own for whatever reason. And so my husband always wanted to do something very different. But I'm probably a little bit more structured and a little bit more set in where I want to go and what I wanted to do.
Right.
And we fortunately had a friend in the food and restaurant game who is Thai, and we both shared a love of Thai food. We both shared a love of Hua Hin, and he wanted to start a business over here, and that there was a synergy there. And so I thought, no, I can do this. I know nothing about tourism. I know a little bit about Thailand after traveling here a lot, and also, I've opened businesses in New Zealand and in Singapore. So I've had some of that experience in my, my travel bags. And so I thought, why not? What could go wrong?
Wow. Okay, that's a really big question. Okay,
what could go wrong?
Could go wrong? Yeah.
But also, what could go right? And so for me, I had the luxury of being able to have a husband who looked after me through all my retail and working career. And what I mean by that is I wouldn't even know what a can of Coke cost because he used to buy them all, So when I moved here, it was, a blessing because it meant that I could really focus on the business, focus on me, focus on where I needed to go. So,
wow.
Yeah.
It's still quite a leap of faith, I would say. I mean, you obviously had reached a decent level within your career.
Yes.
You're obviously, an intelligent person who has that sort of, background. And then to kind of up sticks and go, even though, you know, I mean, I have faith in your abilities. You would have faith in your abilities, but it's still a big choice.
Oh, no, totally. And for someone who is quite structured and quite, you know, I'm probably more thoughtful than, you know, going out on a limb and just going, oh, let's just
see
wing
what
it.
happens.
Let's see what it, like, that's
yeah.
not actually my way
That's
of doing
that's
things,
not
right?
your
I would
groove.
surround myself with people who were like that, but that is not my key strength. So no, that was a big leap of faith. And, you know, it wasn't until you're sort of packing up your house when you've just sold it. And I came over here on my own before Shane.
Yeah.
But we actually had done a lot of trips over in that time when we thought what was going to happen, that this was going to happen, that we came over here and did a few trips. Shane did a few on his own, and then I came over on my own to get it all set up while Shane was at home cleaning up the house and packing all the boxes up and doing all that stuff to let me get here and get it started.
Okay, so let me ask you about friends and family's reaction, because you've said to them, they've seen your career, they know the type of person you are, and then you say, actually, we're leaving this all behind.
Yeah. Well, you know, from a family point of view, you know, my parents had passed away, and Shane only really had his dad. And so our family connection were really happy for us, you know, so that we could go and, you know, just take the next step. You know, and it's interesting when you talk about friends, because, you know, Facebook has done a really bad job of what friends mean, in my opinion, because friends is everybody.
Yes.
But my close-knit circle of friends were, you know, 50-50. You know, they were sad to be seeing me go, but, you know, also they've got your best interests at heart.
Yeah.
And probably your acquaintances were, okay. You know, so that was a very interesting time.
Yeah.
And I certainly, from my point of view, though, is that close-knit friendship has still stayed strong throughout the nearly 10 years that I've been here.
Yeah.
And, you know, prior to COVID, right, you know, we had a heavy stream of people coming in to see us and touch base, and also probably surprisingly from people who I didn't think were going to come, like people who I worked with for lots of years, people who had made connections through business, and then you know, my really close friends and family network.
Do you think they came over because they were curious to see what the real deal was?
Yeah, probably. I think
there's a little bit in that, you know, for expat. There's a little bit of, I call it butt sniffing.
Yeah.
You know, there's a little bit of butt sniffing to just kind of check, like, oh yeah, you say you're doing this. You know, let's have a look what's really going on.
Yeah, you know, like I had a couple of my direct reports who I reported into for years come, and like they still come over, you know, and I think that was, you know, for me, really fantastic. But also what I loved about that business group of people coming over is it really stimulated me to think differently again. Because one thing about being here in Asia, being here in little tiny Hua Hin of 100,000 people, how do you get that business stimulation from the external group of people who you trust to give you great inspiration?
Good advice.
And also those people know how to steer you to think that way, you know. So I really enjoyed that time.
Yeah. Okay. So your work now, as you mentioned, so you're the general manager, you do a lot of marketing, you're on the radio here in Hua Hin. Surprisingly, even small little country towns in Thailand have English radio stations. You know, you've got all these other things. On a daily basis, I know you work horrendously long hours, I'm sure, but on a daily basis, what sort of things, as an expat woman working in Asia, what does your day look like?
As you said, I do morning radio Monday to Friday from 7 till 10, but that's more like 6 till 10.
Yeah.
And then I do Feast Thailand, which is a food tour and sightseeing tour company. So my day is, from when I hang up my microphone onto radio, is around looking after that business. So whether that is ensuring that the customer connection, so my working expat day is customer connection with all the travelers that are coming through, making sure my team are okay. So all those typical things in running a business, making sure the money's in bank, you know, all that, you know,
the business stuff.
The business stuff, yes.
Your team is Thai, I assume, and how do they? I'm going to say how do they see you, but how does that work? You know, being the boss that you are, I'm sure you're an excellent boss. But how did you feel about that? Was that different running a Thai team than, say, an Australian team?
Well, I was really lucky enough throughout my career to work with different countries.
Okay.
And what that gave me insight in very early on, my first company that I took to a new country. Now, the country had a structure of our business there, but we took a brand in there, and it was New Zealand.
Okay.
And
we're not that different.
No, well, but you are. But you are.
Yeah,
you know, you're a country. You've got your own values. You've got your own way of doing things. You've got your own set of pride values. You know, and I remember very early on in that is, you know, coming back on the plane going, gee, I just can't get these people to do what I want them to do. And you know what I wanted them to do is just change the word of, because in New Zealand they used to use the word cell phone for your mobile phone.
Right.
And us Aussies would say mobile phone, right?
Yeah.
No, you just got to put use cell. And then I got on the plane and going, why am I doing that?
Why are you fighting that?
So when we went into Asia and went into Singapore with the brand I was with, you know, those memories were still very true to me. But also I realized that I was going into another country who have different values. But also you got this business behind you going, okay, Leigh, this is what
you need to do.
This is what you need to do. This is what the profit. This is how fast we need to expand. And then you've got this group of people over here that are attuned to their own culture and what they need to do.
Yeah. So
that taught me a lot. So when I came into Thailand, same but different. But can I tell you, managing teams anywhere is you know, challenging because people are people.
Yes,
you know.
Yes, I firmly believe this. Having worked in a number of countries and worked with a lot of different people, I believe you. You know, human beings are human beings.
Yes.
And the language might be different and the cultures might be slightly different, but ultimately we're scratching the same itches all of the time.
Yes.
You know, people are people. So, okay, let me ask you then, because, you know, running a business like that and having that kind of management thing, were there enough other female expats as mentors for you? Did you have people around you that could lead you?
Not female mentors.
No.
You know, like you'd go to a sort of like an expat or, you know, international business meeting here, and it'd be like 30 men and one female, and that would be me.
Yeah.
And that was challenging, to be honest with you. Albeit there was some, you know, men in that group that had a very long career here and could understand, and I could have that connection with. But there was a lot that, you know, what are you doing here? You know, that was my perception anyway. You know, and
no, I don't think anybody looking around. I mean, maybe in Bangkok, you know, bigger cities, it might be different. But I would suggest to you that that's probably about right, because when I say, oh, I work, you know, there's always this kind of little shock. I mean, and I'm not running a company. You're running a company, setting up a company, you know, setting up a business. I would imagine that ratio is distinctly different.
Yeah, and I come from the business that I did work for was a mostly female-led business for the second half of the time I was there, like over 10 years, right? So coming from that culture of being very female-focused, very understanding, very attuned to different personalities, all that type of thing, and having women's, I wouldn't say rights, I don't mean it like that, because everybody has rights.
No, but a different mindset towards that type of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And coming here where I was the only female sitting in the room, and also something. And also for me is, Ryan, you know, that ability to be vulnerable in front of a group of men. About where I'm at or what I've been doing, or has it been successful or not.
That's pretty hardcore.
You know, it was hardcore to start with, and you know, over time, you know, you get to know those people, and then they go, oh no, she's an okay chick after all.
She's all right after all. It is an interesting thing. I mean, it's not fair to say that there aren't women such as yourself doing. I mean, obviously you're doing that, but I would still say, even in this year, you know, 2025, I would still say that working women in Asia are, in certain places, I won't say places like, you know, Hong Kong or Singapore, but are still a minority. And which is why, you know, having these conversations is important, because to show that it can be done, it's just not going to be like it might be at home, like you said, you know, a female even where I'm working, although, you know, there are males in management, most of the managers, and they're Thai, but they're women as well. So it's a hospitality
Yes.
industry. So and it just so happens that, and I'm delighted, out of the 28 managers, 22 of them are female.
Yeah.
Thai female, so there's slight cultural difference, but a general understanding. But I would say that that's because I'm working in that type of industry.
Yeah.
I'm not setting up a company.
No. But I think also here in Thailand, women are a force.
Yes,
Thai women
very much. Yes,
are a force.
Yes,
And
Malaysia too, can I say, and the Philippines as well. Like there are in Asia, and in Chinese cultures as well. There are lots and lots of very powerful, very able women from the top.
Yeah. I think the difference being an expat or someone running the business and coming into this area is, I firmly have believed not to be the great white hunter.
Yeah.
And even when I went into Singapore with the business, I was very conscious not to be the big white hunter telling everybody what I should be doing.
How it is done.
Now that is a slow approach, because you're meeting, and here in Thailand, and again, we're in this little small community, meeting Thai business owners, whether men or women, and building relationships and loyalty, and you can't buy that, they have to be able to see you for what you are. But certainly there are some inspirational Thai businesses who run very well here, and also people who I've connected with in that Thai community who are very, very good operators and women operators.
I think that's true. I think there's a lot of strength in there. I think you're absolutely right. Okay, let's go back to the more sort of the mundane, the day to day. Look at us both flicking our hair. It's bloody sweaty here. Let me just tell you, it's really hot. I'm not. Well, look, I'm not wearing any makeup. I'm just sitting here, being warm.
We'll both look like Leo Sayer in a minute with our frizzy hair out.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to so you arrived here. I know you're in a partnership. I know you've got a husband, but you arrived here. You're setting up your thing. Did you have moments of loneliness? Not because you didn't have, a friend around, but this kind of idea that you might have been out there a little bit on a limb by yourself. Have you ever suffered from that?
Yeah, well, yes and no, Wendy. I think, yes, there's times when you go, gee, I just wish I had someone right there who I could talk to and not have someone who's going to judge me. And it's not my husband.
Yeah.
That from a business perspective is what you sort of miss, where if you're in your home country, you could pick up the phone to your best buddy at work and go, oh, this is what's happened today, and
having this
how do I work this through? It was a business loneliness that I probably felt more, that I miss, and I miss that challenge, or that person not to judge you, going,
well, she can't handle the heat.
Yeah, she can't.
She's a woman.
Yeah,
maybe she should get out of the kitchen. Get into the kitchen.
And that's probably still to this day is still there a fraction, can I tell you? Where you just want to be able to, say those conversations. And because you're not, for me, my circle of friends here is quite small. But I'm saying that my circle of friends here are people who are probably people working, who have worked overseas, who have had those business relationships, who are probably less judgmental
and on the same wavelength as you, or have had those experiences. I think that this is really important, Leigh, because and this is why I do want to have these conversations, because we are out there, we're underrepresented when it comes to exposure, and there may be people who watching this who think, I've always wanted to do something like that, but I don't see anybody doing it. How do I do it? Where do you come from? And I think it's really important to be real about, okay, these are the challenges that you might face, or these are, and it can be overcome. There are ways around it. You will survive it, because I think it's quite intimidating. Like I said, I mean, I do think it's an enormous leap of faith to come overseas and set up businesses. And there are other women that I've met who've done it. We don't get a lot of airspace, so time to give us some airspace. So I think that's great. Okay, loneliness, yes, from a business mentoring buddy help type of thing. Homesickness, ever had any homesickness?
Look, I'm just going to put it out there. I haven't been back to Australia
in
the 9.5 years I've been here.
No way. Really? Wow.
I've only been out of Thailand once to go to Berlin for a tourism conference to get my brain recharged about what's happening in the tourism market.
You could do that, Leigh. How do you do that? They don't kick you out at any point. I mean, I don't have to leave either. My company takes care of my visas.
Yeah, that's right.
But really?
No.
Wow.
And look, I do miss certain aspects of Australia, but that's
A Lamington now and again?
Yeah, oh, you know what, a good pie and and watching the football live is probably the things that I miss. And my friends and the close associates that I've known there. But no, I haven't. And to be honest, I love exploring Thailand. And one of my regrets is I should have bought a car when I first came over here, because I think I would have gone out even more.
Done more things,
I got my bike license. I learned how to ride my motorbike in Australia before I came.
Okay.
And so, I had a motorbike for a long, long time. But since I've had a vehicle, it's given me more freedom to get around, and explore. And so I do look passionate about Thailand as well. So
that's good. Okay, so no homesickness. All right.
No homesickness.
So in the time that you've been, and particularly, I mean, obviously, we won't spend too much time on it, but it has to be addressed. You mentioned the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, and that must have been a very painful time for you, because it was a very painful time for everybody. Obviously, you got through it. Did you ever think about kicking it in? That's it, we're done, out?
No, because it was funny, because since opening the business back in 2016, we had King Lama IX pass away.
Yep.
So it was a year of mourning. Then there was, and then a few other things happened. Then you've got COVID happened. For me, we're not here to be driving Mercedes. I'm here to have a lifestyle, and I still love working. So no, we had invested in here, and we wanted to stay here. So even through COVID, no one at the start ever realized how long it was going to go.
No. We thought it was going to be like 2 months.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll do this for 2 months. We'll wash our hands for 2 months. We'll do all of those things for 2 months, and then everything will be fine.
Yeah. So we took an approach. We kept all our staff on, and we took the approach that we were just going to keep promoting Feast Thailand, and and for however long that would go for, and we just were able to sneak by. And also, I didn't want to lose any of my team, because, as you know, training people to deliver what you want, this is training people to deliver what international traveller wants. It's another level, right?
Yes, it is. Yes.
So so we hung on, and we've come out the other side okay.
You have. You're doing great, and you've got a YouTube as well, haven't you? You're rather famous, I think. I suspect.
Well, I think sometimes.
Yeah. Look, I think so.
Look,
I've seen you eating things.
Yes, I'm eating. Always eating.
Excellent.
Always
what a great job.
Always
Always eating. What do you do? I eat food for a living.
People go, do you really eat Thai food all the time? I go,
literally, yes.
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So no, look, we do have a YouTube channel. I think one of the challenges about being a solo person running the business, and my team are tour guides and drivers, is everything gets lumped into me. So that I can do. Like I can't be a tour guide, and I don't want to be a tour guide. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
But I'd love to do a bit more YouTube, and that's why I just do shorts, because it's easy and whatever. And I focus a lot on really, I do focus a lot on eating. That's my thing.
Well, half your luck, I reckon. And you're looking great for it too, can I just say.
Thank you.
All right. So this is going to seem like a weird question, but it's a fair question. Obviously, you're settled here. You have intentions of ever going home? I get asked this all the time, by the way. When are you going to go home? And I always say, where exactly do you think that is for me? Because I've been travelling now since I was a small child. I did grow up in Sydney, but I am from New Zealand, and I literally have not stopped travelling since the age of 7. So,
yeah, look, Wendy, no, look, I don't have, like, for someone, I spend probably a lot of time thinking about the future. Probably too much sometimes. Probably worrying about the future, to be honest. But no, I'd love to be here as long as I can. I think the only thing that I worry about is that my health won't allow me to do that.
But here is a good place for healthcare and things like that.
Oh, totally.
It's far more reasonable.
Totally.
And good quality.
Yeah, and to be honest, I've lost as you would say, or may say, I've lost all perception of costs, what happens.
Totally.
Yeah, like you've been away for how many years?
More than 37 years.
Yeah, so you...
No idea.
So
I'll give you, just to interrupt, I don't know if it's boring or not, I'll give you a perfect example of this. My daughter, who lives in America, contacted me yesterday and said, if we came to Thailand, I'm thinking about getting some dental stuff done. They've got insurance, $200 US to get the teeth cleaned. I said, what sort of cleaning is that? They said, teeth cleaned, 800 baht I pay. That's $25 US, 25 as compared to 200. So, yeah. Perspective, I'm like, you are kidding.
Yeah.
You are kidding.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because one thing about being an expat, and what I did very quickly, is once we got our rent and all that sort of stuff, and we're renting here, and I did a percentage of what I was earning back in Australia and what I would have been paying in Australia for everything, cost of living, right?
Yeah.
But once I did that, I stopped comparing everything to Australia.
Yes, yeah.
Because at the end of the day,
you're here.
I'm here.
Yeah.
My husband probably took a little bit longer to do that, but for my mind, I deal in baht.
Yes, me too. I get paid in baht.
And I am totally that way. So that even makes it more that I've got no idea what's going on in Australia.
Yeah.
But that also keeps me grounded because, just with our cost of living here, our Thai staff, and when people say, has everything gone up? I go, not that I notice, it probably has, but I'm not out there counting 10 baht, so.
No, because it's fractionalized. So I think, I think when you've been, you've been here 9 years, you've been here 9 years.
Yes.
So you do kind of lose perspective of that. Yes, you should, because this is where your life is. I do think that, if you're constantly comparing, you're actually not in the mindset of being here.
Yeah.
You can compare and go like, oh my goodness, thank goodness for that. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
But don't focus on it too much.
Oh, and I don't watch Australian news, rightly or wrongly. I don't do any of that.
I'm trying to not watch any news right now.
I don't even know who our Prime Minister is. But anyway, but no, because for me, I'm a tax-paying citizen here in Thailand.
Yep.
And that's where I would like to stay as long as I can.
Yeah, okay. So the plan is to be here. Okay. So coming back to the working woman thing, because we're going all over the shop today, what do you think are some of the things that if I was watching this video and I was considering, okay, I see this lady, she set up a business, what do you think are some of the things that are not addressed, before you get here? Obviously things like visas, the technicalities, the legalities. What do you think are some of the things that are not addressed for potential business investors?
Look, I think... look, and this may sound a bit weird, but one of the things that scares me the most is being in a business here, being an international person working in a Thai-owned business, is the amount of checks that I have to go through. And I'm not doing anything wrong, mind you, but
no.
But when you
it's a fair amount of bureaucracy.
Yeah, that's right. And you'll get 10 Thai people come to your door to say, can I just check your business license? And all of a sudden I go, oh my God, it's like being,
my business license.
It's like being pulled over, with a breathalyzer, even though you haven't been drinking. It's that, right?
Yeah.
So that type of thing is, for me, that I'd never ever realized.
Yeah.
But having all your ducks in a row. And also I think, when I started with the business here 9 years ago, scanning and translation apps.
Oh, that wasn't a thing back then.
Oh, not as much, right? And so that was probably one of the biggest challenges, is understanding everything in Thai and not having to go to your Thai owner saying, can you read that for me? And all that type of thing. So that sort of understanding is there. But what I say to people though is, whilst I never thought I would run a business in Australia, but I think it's about knowing your skill set, and probably if I'd stayed there long enough, maybe I would have done something, because I couldn't find anybody to work with. Right. So I think my advice always to people is just think about, this is no different to anywhere in starting a business. You'll have challenges, maybe they're a bit different. The language barrier is challenging. But if I went to open a business in Spain, English is Spanish,
Spanish is the first language. Those challenges remain, don't they? Starting a business is not easy.
No.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm not sure if I answered your question.
Yeah, no,
there,
you did. So the thing. Okay, so one of the things that you need to be aware of is the local business culture, or I want to say bureaucratic. That's probably the wrong word, but the government checks and balances, and that is true. I mean, and I would say Thailand and certain parts of Southeast Asia, not only Thailand, are particularly like that, where you end up going to get. I mean, I get a work permit, like every year or every 2 years. It's now every 2 years, and there's still a wodge of paper. We cut down a tree for every expat that works with us, and we've got like 25 expats working for us. So that's how we do it.
I always give the example when we took our business into Singapore.
Yeah.
We had to get 3 work permits, one for me and one for the person living there and HR.
Yeah.
I couldn't get my work permit because I didn't have, in Singapore at that time, I never went to uni. Right? I only just went to year 12.
Yeah.
But
so you didn't have a degree?
No. But I'd been working in executive positions for 20 years.
Yeah, that's your degree right there.
Correct. My life degree, right?
Yeah, right.
So that was a challenge. So people go, it's so hard to get these things over here and so much bureaucracy and all the papers, like you're saying. And that's true, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But actually that was nearly the same, So for each one of those people that we had to go through hoops, but we had HR, and law departments helping us because we're a big company. But here you're on your own.
You're on your own, yeah.
And also, how do you find the right advice, your right accountant, the right person from a law perspective, and also that's very different per country around all those type of things. So that was probably one of the bigger challenges right at the start, where you're trying to seek out who's going to give you the right advice in a small town, opening a business that you don't want to get in trouble, but you want to do things the right way,
Yeah.
That was hard.
Yeah.
Really, really hard.
And I do advise people to watch out. I always say, if you're not sure about something, ask other expats, but be careful of which other expats you're asking. Because there's so many bitter and jaded and cranky and ill-informed, sorry, I'm going to look at the camera and say ill-informed expats who've heard a mate told them something at the pub once upon a time, and they heard it from a thing and they read it on the back of a Wheaties box that this is how things are done. And the number of times I've just sat there, because I do work in a proper, like you, legitimate company with a legitimate, and say, no. Oh, no, you don't know. I spoke to a guy and who's your guy? Don't give me that. So I think you do need to, if you're bringing a pet out and you need a good pet carrier, contact the other expats. If you want to know where to buy the right shade of lipstick, contact other expats. If you're going to get your visa done, talk to a lawyer.
Yeah, and it's probably not a lawyer. It's probably not only just one. Like we had a few that we talked to, and same with accountants, and go, oh gee, this is quite inexpensive to have an accountant here. But then when you dig in, you just got to be very careful what you're paying for. And if you want to pay for more, just need. But that's the same everywhere. To be honest with you,
true.
But
lawyers and accountants.
It's coming in and actually being able to clearly find and making a decision. Yeah. But you are right around who you talk to about what. That is totally right.
I think that's really critical. So essentially, you would say to people, look, do your homework and do it the right way. Be prepared to spend a little bit of money and time getting the right advice, as opposed to just every man's opinion.
Correct. And doubly, as a female, you're trying to look for connection, the right connection with people, with the type of people running these businesses. Yes. I'd say that with anybody, but certainly I think from my point of view is I had to find that connection, make sure that I had someone who dealt really well with my husband, but that person couldn't stand talking with me. Now, not that he's in the business, but that was challenging. I said, well, no, I just can't go that way, right? No, that's not always going to happen, but it just wasn't right. It had to be the right connection with me.
Got to feel that. Especially when you're doing a lot of the work.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. I'm going to go to the last question. And did I thank you for your time? Not yet, but I'll do that in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to go to the last question. We'll do that and ask about. Okay. Leigh is getting off the plane 9 years ago. And today Leigh goes to see her. And she's in Suvarnabhumi Airport. And new Leigh is meeting old Leigh. And new Leigh has the suitcases and a bright, shiny face. And older, not old, and more experienced Leigh comes up to and says, you need to know these 3 things. What are the 3 things, Leigh?
Oh, gee, that's
So
hard.
I'll really put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, it is, because if I look back now, I think for me personally was leaving baggage at the departure gate,
Right.
and not
You're
taking.
talking about emotional baggage
Yeah,
here?
emotional,
Yeah.
but you know, that could be whatever baggage that is.
Right, yeah.
You know, and I think also, you know, for me sometimes if I look back and I have to say, well, you could do this a little bit differently, is probably that thinking about all the what ifs that may never happen is probably in my DNA to do that.
Right, yeah.
But again, that helps me when I do things, but I probably do spend an inordinate amount of time there. But look, and also I think my biggest one is enjoy the ride, you know, because sometimes, you know, because I am doing, you know, being in a tourism industry, it is a 7-day-a-week, you know, travelers are texting me all the time and whatever, and we're running tours every day, so my tour guides are on every day, all that sort of stuff is actually just enjoying a little bit of the ride. Because certainly when people come over from a different country and visit me, they go, why haven't you been down to the beach in the last, you know.
It's hard though when you're setting up, when you run your own business. I had my own business in Hong Kong, and let me tell you something, I worked for a bitch. That was me. I was working for myself. You know, like it's hard when you're running your own business. You know, people, anybody watching this who knows, if you've owned your own business, run your own business, even if you're, you know, selling soap out of the back of a van at a market, that's a bloody hard gig, you know. So I think that that's true of everybody, right? You can't be too hard on yourself.
No, and I think that bit around just taking a bit of time and just reflecting and forcing yourself to do that. And even though we live and work in a tourism centre, you know, being careful not to get all engaged with all of that, as in the nightlife and being out every night. I'm not saying to do that, but it is about just taking a little bit of space and enjoying the ride. Because, you know, the ride will be over down the track, right?
True.
And you can't get back on that bike. So for me, it is about remembering not only that now, but if I think back, getting on that plane and leaving my bags behind, is that bit.
Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride.
Good. So no regrets.
No, I love it.
Hey,
I love it. I love it.
Are you okay? So your advice to anybody who's thinking about it, or, you know, what would happen, you know, about it, look at it practically, and if it looks like it can work, give it a go. And
I think, look, my other bit of advice around it is, don't come in thinking that you are going to change the world. This world is already working here. You know, and your little business idea and your partner, you know, may work, but you know, you got to think it through. And how does that move? How do you get into people's minds and souls? And you know, it's a challenging thing, but I think my most rewarding thing here is being able to work and live in a Thai community, and I love it.
Love it. Excellent. All right. Thank you so much, Leigh, from Feast, Thailand. That's the most, and also Surf Radio. You can actually hear that online. You can hear that anywhere at all. 102.5 from Hua Hin. Thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you.
Sawadee ka.
Sawadee ka.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Ka.